out there. This is the Neurotrain Collaborative. We've got episode 8 here going on with Erin and Katie and myself, Kelly, and we are bringing to you the ideas surrounding community for the month of November and a little bit of the play aspect of that. And we know that we're getting into a time of the year where a lot of social events happen, and we are a communal and a social species. We evolved that way, and we grew these giant brains because we were able to collaborate more with one another in our species. And it's super important that we recognize that and also bring a little bit of the nurturing and food into the picture, because all of them go together. All of those pieces are part of the same puzzle in the way we are wired. And I just wanted to mention one of my favorite books that I've read about this subject is a book called Tribe. It's by Sebastian Younger with a J, and you can look him up online. He's got a great website. And the book it really spoke to my heart in a lot of the ways that human beings have been pulled away from the tribal origins of how we evolved. And we've lost in many communities the sense of that social and community aspect that we really evolved around, that brought us together and kept us alive. It was part of our survival. We had to have our tribe in order to survive. So kicking that off for everybody and wanting Erin and Katie to jump in here and tell us what does that bring to mind for you when we talk about community and social qualities for the month of November.
That's awesome, Kelly. Thank you for kicking us off. And one thing that really pops out in my brain is I think in the book Phantoms in the Brain by V.S. Ramachandran, he talks about how humor was developed. And there's different theories about how humor was developed, but like laughing and smiling um, and humor was actually a way for us to reduce threat or danger and to let like other tribal members or family members know that things are safe. And so we look at it now in our modern day, and some of the best ways to bond with our family and friends is to tell jokes and to laugh and have a good time and share funny things. And um but the idea of smiling and like showing your teeth and like making that sound was actually a signal that things are safe and this is actually not a danger and this is not a threat and this is not scary. And I thought that was kind of a cool concept to consider as far as evolution goes. Um, and there were a lot of studies that were done on isolation and how stressful isolation is for humans and animals, really. And how brains actually atrophy, serotonin increases, aggression and depression increase, anxiety increases, and there's a lot of stressful effects of isolation, period. And so we are definitely creatures of community. We thrive with physical touch and affection and communal giving. And, holidays are always kind of a interesting time of the year because some of us may be estranged from our families. Some of us might have families that live in different states. We might not be able to see them. It's always kind of a hit or miss. Sometimes families can bring out the best things, and sometimes they can also bring out the worst things. And I think when we're going to the holiday season, a good rule for me is to go and to see where I can be of service and to really ask questions about other people, to learn about where they've been. Um, and to really just kind of see what I can bring to the table, and connecting with my family. And if there's any kind of stressful relationships that might be involved in that, just making sure I'm not jumping in the ring and getting ready to wear my defensive armor, and just making sure that I'm taking care of myself before I go so that I can actually show up as a loving, kind, and compassionate person, which is who I want to be. That's what I want to bring to my family. And I know that some of us also have family of choice that we like prefer to spend our time with. So I think during the holiday season, it's good to have a good balance and making sure that if you do have a situation where maybe you are estranged from your family or it is a stressful situation, that you are dipping into your village of choice and that you have connections that you're setting up there and staying connected to other people. And we'll talk about light in the next episode, but because it's a darker time of the year, stress levels are already higher and the thyroid is already slowed down significantly because we're not getting the same amount of sunshine. And so we tend to crave more sugar. We tend to crave more salt, more fat during the winter months. Part of that is because we're not getting as many fat soluble vitamins. And so, great time to be eating liver. And if you are putting on a couple pounds over the holiday season, just embrace it. It's natural, it's normal. I know that Dr. Ray Peat has recommended increasing thyroid way more in the winter than in the summer to kind of keep things even keel. So I thought that was always an interesting suggestion. And with that, coffee with food is always a great way to keep your thyroid stimulated. Um, Instant coffee baths. And ironically, with harvest season, squashes are super high in minerals and super high in amazing different nutrients. So a lot of times it's a soup season. We eat a lot of minerals, cooking bones and meats and potatoes and all those things together. And so it's just kind of cool to watch how things evolve in the winter months. And there's a reason for that. And it's because we tend to need more minerals and things like that during the winter months because the stress levels go up because there's less sunlight and there's less warmth and we're usually colder and we're working hard to keep ourselves um, we're working harder to keep ourselves at a level baseline during the darker months.
And
Anything?
sometimes we want to go into hibernation mode too, and that's also very, very normal. So you might find yourself craving more things. I know personally right now I'm craving more PUFA, things with PUFA in them. If we think about this and how it works with non-human animals, we can look at bears and how they hibernate throughout the winter. And right before they go into hibernation, they go for nuts and seeds and salmon and the higher PUFA foods that helps slow their metabolism down so they don't use all their nutrients right away, all their stored vitamins and minerals and stuff in their bodies. It helps spread that out so that they can make it through the winter, through that hibernation period until they get to spring. It's warmer, more food is available then, so they go for the sugar, the fruits then. So we can kind of look to them as this idea of like what's going on in our own body. If we're starting to crave those things, that's a good reason why. And oftentimes, especially as we head into this holiday season too, we want to have all those comfort foods, right? The stuffing, dressings, all that kind of stuff. And it's really delicious and it makes me hungry just thinking about it. But plan ahead, plan ahead. You know that holiday season is coming. You may know that you're going to spend some of that time with family and sharing food. Plan your recipes ahead of time. So green bean casserole, for one, can be a really good idea to plan ahead for. I make all of my cream of mushroom at home from scratch, and that's how I make my green bean casserole. And then I make my onions, from scratch instead of the canned stuff that's like breaded and fried and a little bit weird, but also tastes delicious. Like I remember that from my childhood, the Durkee onions, I think they are. You can make those at home very easily, and you can make a lot of things from scratch. And honestly, it tastes better. It takes a little bit more work or planning, but now that I've started making my own cream of mushroom, that's a good base for a lot of things, and a lot of good hearty soups throughout the winter, and just even the ability to like throw those mushrooms in spaghetti sauce or any of soups or with potatoes, whatever. It makes me feel full and happy and warm, and it's something that I can easily share at a family meal, and no one's going to be looking at me like the crazy one bringing weird food in.
Well, and if you're brand new to our channel, because you happen to support us recently, per our request, you might not know what PUFA is, so we'll just talk about that for a brief second. When we talk about fats, there's unsaturated fats. So there's polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is what we call PUFA. And there's mono unsaturated fatty acids, which is what we call MUFA. And then there's saturated fatty acids. And for a long time, people have touted that unsaturated fats are heart healthy. And a lot of that has to do with the propaganda from the seed oil industry and the fish oil industry, and the statin industry. But in truth, they are actually very damaging for our nerves. And they actually create more issues and contribute more towards degeneration and cancer than they do anything else.
And
Um,
chronic pain.
Yep, and chronic pain, exactly. And so when we're talking about a metabolic side of things, saturated fats actually stabilize unsaturated fatty acids in our body. And so we recommend using butter, ghee, coconut oil, tallow. I just got myself a new can of tallow. I'm super excited about using that in my pie crust this year, to make different baked goods with it. So learning how to swap out ingredients can be a really great way to save yourself extra stress and extra inflammation through the holiday season and just protect your body and still make really good food. And I think there's something else that you mentioned. Mushrooms. Mushrooms, turns out they can have a lot of toxins in them when they're raw. So we do talk a lot about cooking vegetables and fruits because our plants actually have natural defense mechanisms in them. And so cooking them down can actually protect you from some of those natural protective mechanisms that plants do have. So we do recommend cooking apples and peaches and pears, things like that. Any kind of vegetable really is best cooked unless it's a cucumber. I'm trying to think of what else would be good not cooked. I can't think of another vegetable right now, not cooked, but
Carrots,
carrots.
but do rinse them. So shred them, rinse them so that you're getting rid of that extra orange coloring. And again, if you're new to us, we've got a lot more videos for you to watch to understand why. Or we can make this video about 6 hours long.
Well,
Just talking about food, that alone. I love going into this holiday season and talking about food. I am ready to eat right now. And so I'm having this little online party right here with Katie and Aaron. Like, it reminds me that I can eat my imaginary food and I can digest it better because I'm with them. We're all doing it together, and that makes me want to remind everyone that we actually do digest things better when we're sitting communally and eating with other people. It gets the digestive juices flowing. And I think that there is a component of that that comes from a bunch of the olfactory senses from cooking food together also that stimulates digestion, but also sitting down with other people can slow down the way that we chew our food because we're listening and we're enjoying the conversation, hopefully, and we're able to use our own digestive enzymes more efficiently by the time that food gets to our tummy. And so I like to think about the people who've made, maybe have had a change in their life at some time this year, that having any grief around this time is a big deal. And that if we know someone is going through a hard time, including people from our community that we need a little more attention, is not only does it make us feel better when we can bring someone into that, but it really does wonders for them as well. It's good for all the hearts. And if we don't have a way to do that in our own dwelling, then there's always a food kitchen in our community somewhere who is serving a meal to people who need it. And I think that's another great way to spend a holiday meal. So I wish everyone a wonderful and happy November, and thanks for, and any last things that you want to say, throw into the mix?
One last thing I'll mention is sugar is, there's a reason why we crave a little bit more sugar during the winter. It does increase thyroid function. It also reduces cortisol and adrenaline. And so actually more sugar and more salt during the holiday season can help you digest better. It can reduce stress on your body. It can help you sleep better. It can warm your body up. And it can actually make, there's a reason why we're craving those things. It can help with mood and focus and cognition. And so just wanted to say, listen to those cravings. If you're having them, that's okay. Sugar's not bad. Again, watch some of our other videos. We've got a lot of information on that. Just finding clean options and learning how to cook things well is a great way to start. And we do have some recipes that we have in our Facebook group. So if you want, you can always join our Facebook group online. I think it's the Neurotrain Online Community is what it's called. So
yes. Yep, that's it. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you next month.
Yep, we'll see you in the next video.